And I told my parents literally the Sunday morning before I flew the Sunday evening and just went in. Gone. So it's all very last minute stuff.
And were they like totally supportive?
Not at all. They didn't want me doing it at all. Yeah. My parents and my sisters were like, not a chance, man, are you doing that? Like, you'd make a fool of yourself. Like a couple of lads happened to do on the island. Like the guy that said that bad, vulgar thing towards Maura. Remember him? So Tom, yeah, so... that was my parents and my sister were worried I would slip up like that, but thankfully I didn't, and I ended up winning the thing.
Joe presents Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby, together with Guinness. Hello, and you're very welcome to Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby, here on Joe, together with Guinness. We are live from the Guinness Open Gate Brewery! Yeah! We are Baz and Andrew, and we are here to provide you with positive energy and vibes, and most of all, belief that Ireland are going to win on Sunday, and they're going to beat every single team that comes in their way, and they are going to win the World Cup. Are you with me?
Some people are not as naive as us.
Really?
Barry, I think they maybe are operating on the assumption that Scotland have a chance at the weekend. Anyway, we have decided that we're going to be positive tonight. We're going to bring that positive vibe, and it's going to be infectious. Everybody's going to be positive. Sure, we don't really know much about rugby. Sure, we don't do any statistical analysis at all. Sure, even at times we don't even know the players' names.
And sure, there's other podcasts out there that have a problem with real Irish players, or us being a little bit too liberal. But at least we haven't gone so far left-wing that we're now gone right, and we're gone up our own arses and out our mouths into your ears. That is not us. That is not us.
No, that's not us. But you know what is us?
What is us?
See when the Lions captain gets attacked by a dildo? We will bring you that story.
Some people believe some men from Cork do not have dicks. Instead, they have like pieces of plastic covering their dicks. We're okay with that.
Fine.
We're fine with that.
That's
fine.
No problem.
We're happy to talk about it.
No problem at all. If you get regularly attacked by dildos, if you haven't got a dick, it's fine. Even if you're not Irish, we will still support you. You dickless Irish foreigners. When you put that green jersey on, we are through and through Ireland.
Well, you know, how far have we come as a nation? Have we forgotten how far we've come? How many Irish people for hundreds of years have been traveling around the world trying to integrate with different cultures, different companies, different ways of life? And still to this day, Irish people are trying to get citizenship all over the world. Are we any different here? Do we want these people coming here, taking up our cultures? I mean, there's 32 players in the team. There's 32 counties in the country. Whether you're from Syria, Leitrim, John Klein, Zimbabwe, Moy Ross, England, maybe not England.
No.
But we're inclusive. We want you in that green jersey, and we believe we're going to win the World Cup. Am I right?
We are.
We go.
Yeah,
see, now
we've got them.
Now they're with us.
We've won them over. We are bulletproof tonight. We're starting the World Cup this weekend, and in 8 weeks' time, we will be winning the World Cup. Am I right? It's brilliant. Look at them.
Ole, 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 ole.
He's uncomfortable.
Too easy. We're going to use that throughout the night when we get awkward and forget what we have to do. Is that all right? That's just going to revert to that.
Look at them. Look at them all. It's amazing what we've done, isn't it? Just a crowd of helpless penguins. I don't see any faces I recognize. I don't know anyone here. But it feels like a family vibe. It feels like we're their parents. And we've just kept having like baby penguins. And we keep giving them up for adoption and then just making the same mistake again. You're pregnant with another penguin.
Oh, God,
Baz.
what do?
Honestly.
We are both parents of multiple children, so we're used to dealing with many children who require our love. So if anyone feels like coming up and being breastfed during the night, Andrew is pumping and expressing, but if anyone wants to latch on, he'll allow you to as well. But anyway, it's Ireland versus Scotland this week. Okay, we've had a few calf strains, a few hamstring strains. Obviously, the IRFU feeling a little bit of the pinch after going to Japan on a Ryanair flight for 3 days. But at least we know why Dev Toner was left at home.
Yeah, Joe's like, bring the short South African fella instead. He'll be grand. What's his name again?
So when Ireland plays Scotland, I always feel like we can't create that war vibe that we always want because we're too like. There are friends, there are cousins, the cultures are too similar. It's like when we're at a wedding and you may get in an argument with your friend or your cousin, and it's like, nah, and then you just both kind of give out about creepy Uncle England. It's kind of, abused us for 800 years and stuff like that. It's like, fuck.
Yeah, he's not even your uncle. He's like friend of the family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shut up, England, would you?
Jesus.
Having a row here at the bar.
And one man that knows more than both of us anyway, and most of you, about playing against Scotland and about playing against in the World Cup is the only man who gives us any kind of credibility on this show, and it is Mr. Jerry Flannery. Yeah. Put your hands together for Ole, 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 ole. Fla, the Penguins, Fla. How are we doing?
Look what my life has become. Last year I was coaching Munster. Everything was going so well. Now this shit.
We are so pleased that you have shown no backbone or anything for coaching. We're so pleased it just claps down around you because we were Penguins this time last year, and now look at us, we're on the stage with Fla.
Yeah.
You've got your jellyfish coach over here.
Well, look, we've got some guests coming on tonight. We've got Dave Denton, we've got Eimear Considine. We've also got a very special guest in part 2. Oh, I know Fla's getting pretty excited.
Very excited about it. Very excited.
Control yourself there, Fla. We're going to let you go down and mingle with the crowd, and we're going to get our guests on. But I want to get your prediction. Who's going to win the World Cup? If you were a betting man, if you were Rob Howley, who would you bet? Too easy. I don't even want to know the answer to the question.
Never mind.
No, go on.
If I was Rob Howley and I was betting my career, I would probably...
I bet he's at home just like, come on, England. It'll be worth it.
I would have to go with Ireland.
Would you? Come on.
I'm getting on the buzz here.
And the vibe, yeah. Well, okay, Fla, you've recently taken a break from coaching. Come on board with us. Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, I'm trying to rethink that call now and get back onto Johan van Graan and say, any chance you get me back in there, please?
Quick, give him a pint. Give him a pint. Well, okay, we're going to let you go down and mingle with the Penguins. Is that all right?
Don't touch any of them.
Don't touch the Penguins or they don't touch me.
Don't touch Fla.
Keep your flippers to yourselves, please.
Okay, that's enough of that. We'll crack into our first panel of the night. First up is Munster and Ireland winger, has a background in GAA, dabbled in a bit of Aussie rules, is the pride of Clare, Miss Eimear Considine.
Okay, and next up, he sounds like he was born in South Africa and he grew up in England, but would you believe it, he's actually Scottish. David Denton.
Thanks, man. Down. Now this is where it gets messy.
Comfy.
Eimear, fantastic rugby player, achieved so much on the pitch, but at the moment you've switched to analysis. You're on TV for the next few weeks. commenting on the World Cup, talking about the games. How has that change been for you? Are you excited, nervous?
Well, first up, what is analysis?
You'll learn about it if you watch Air during the World Cup. I think everyone's probably sick of me at this stage from those Air ads. If one more person refers to me as the Eaminator, I actually think that I went back to work there a few weeks ago and I gave the girls 1 week and that was it. If it was mentioned after that, it was detention straight away. So, no, look, it's good to be involved in it. It's much easier. I started off with TG Cars, so Air gave me the ring and they're like, any chance you can do the air work with us? And they're like, we presume you can speak English if you can speak Irish. And I said, actually, yeah, quite a bit better. So I'll be looking forward to that.
We'll be the judge of that now.
So my English is hopefully better. Maybe my analysis, it was probably easier on the Irish channel because people genuinely didn't know what I was saying.
You could have said anything.
So do you know what? I got asked a question once, has anyone ever given out to you about how much you slay to them? I was like, nobody can ever understand me, so it hasn't happened yet. So it's a good thing to start with.
Okay.
Make sure and help Tommy out. Now, I bumped into him in Belfast there a while back, and he had about 50 pages all spread out everywhere, scribbles. You couldn't read a word he was saying. And I remember he told me a story about last year. It was Lucky Fitz and Donica, and he got this message in his ear, and he's obviously dealing with this conversation and then this conversation, and he got this message in his ear, and he thought he only had 15 seconds to kill, and he told the fellas that. And then whenever it came through, whenever he was live, they said, oh, by the way, you've got 2.5 minutes to fill. So we asked Luke something.
That happened once before because some people are like, this, and then that means wrap. I thought that meant wrap it up, so you hurry up your piece of analysis, and then sometimes it means keep going. So then you don't know which. So I'm really hoping that I'll figure out by the time I get on air on Friday that I figure out which that means. I'll actually have to clarify that now.
Yeah,
just thinking about that on Friday.
He relied on Donica at the time. Luke Fitz did his bit and then turned to Donica and he says, what do you think, Donica? And Donica said, what he said.
But you know what? Sometimes it's so prepared that you're like, you're going to talk about this, you're talk about this, and then there is 15 seconds or a minute to spare. And you're like, sweet, my bit's over, blah, 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 blah. So you're not listening, and it's in Irish. So then the question's like, blah, 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 Eimear. And then you're like, oh, dear God, what is the question? And you just end up spoofing in Irish about something that has already been spoken about because so many times you're caught thinking, great, aced it, said my bit of analysis, and you get caught rotten.
I bet you that's what you do to your students, though.
What? Yeah.
I bet you that's what you do to them.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
deserve that.
I know that they're not listening to me.
Are you the teacher that says, what did I just say?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I actually am. Yeah.
God, we can kind of relate to that when Pat is throwing tantrums behind the camera over here with us normally about what we said, and he knows he's going to have to edit out most of the show, so we can definitely relate to that. Dave, tough week for you, man. Retired on Monday after, an incredibly colourful and wonderful career. I think we both said earlier on we love watching you play, and obviously it's been a tough few months for you. Can you talk us through how it's been this week?
So we want you to be honest. Just try and keep the buzz.
In interest of everyone not going to sleep, I'll keep this brief. Obviously not ideal. I've been struggling with a head injury for the last 12 months, which has been brutal. And obviously, a head injury is a very serious thing, even though you want to take the piss out of it. I'm joking. So I retired last week, or at the start of this week, and obviously I'm just trying to find my bearings at the minute. And obviously, I'm going to miss playing rugby, but on the bonus, I get to do things like this. So long may it continue.
We're very lucky to have you.
Dave, have you got a couple of interviews lined up because you've just recently cut your hair?
I wanted to look more like you, mate.
You had a Thor look before, didn't you?
That's what some people have been saying.
Yeah, ponytail was a good look, but
you
interview-wise,
should grow a ponytail.
Definitely, 3 kids, man. You can't have a ponytail with 3 kids.
No. Just get in the way, is it?
Yeah, well, no, it's just, it doesn't fit the image.
I don't know. If I could, I would. Okay, so Ireland versus Scotland this weekend. Eames, have you any experience playing against Scotland? Like what I said earlier on about, is there a different vibe? You have to prepare yourself for someone that's not the enemy. or what's your experience with that?
Yeah, my first cap was against Scotland over in a freezing cold February evening, and I was very new to rugby at the time. I'd only played 3 games at Munster before I actually got my first cap 15th, so I hadn't a clue of the rules. So obviously, like, it's a great experience, you're getting your first cap and all that, but I remember at one stage there was a kick and I was chasing, and I like marked it as if I would for Gaelic football. I just stood in front of her, and instead of getting back 5, and she threw the ball straight at me, and I was like, ref! And then, like, obviously I didn't know I was in the wrong, so I got fined big time for that at the start. But no, it was great to get your first cap over in Scotland, and I suppose the one positive of this year was that it was our only win in the Six Nations. So look, it's been good every time I've gone to Scotland so far, but that's not really much of a positive so far.
Yeah, okay. And Dave, your experience playing against Ireland, played a good few times against us, always brought your physical side. What's your thoughts on the weekend? What kind of approach would you think Scotland will take, knowing Gregor Townsend, knowing the side? What would you expect?
Yeah, I need to be careful here if I want to escape with my life. But I think from the squad that Greg has picked, he always speaks about wanting to play the fastest rugby in the world, and you can see that in the squad that he's picked, particularly in the back row and in the centres. He's picked players that are versatile, that are dynamic, instead of big lumps. And I think it's almost a contrast of games that we're going to see, and it's going to be a massive game first up. So I think Scotland are going to try run as much as they can. They're going to try run Ireland off their feet. But on contrast, I think Ireland are probably going to try to go at Scotland physically. And if Scotland are going to do well in this World Cup, it's vitally important that we do win the physical battles, because we are a slightly smaller team now, and that's by design. That's the game plan that Gregor wants to play. And I think particularly in the conditions in Japan, it could be a good way to play, because it's going to be hot, mate. I played out there a couple of years ago, and it's a very, very tough place to play. So I think it can be effective. But again, playing against Ireland, you both know it. If teams make mistakes, they're going to crucify you. And I think it's important that Scotland really are clinical and keep hold of the ball as much as possible.
So when you say it's hard to play in those conditions, I've never played somewhere like that. Do you go out and approach the game differently? Do you try and conserve a bit of energy, or is it just like hell for leather, go for it?
You wouldn't try conserve energy as a player, but I think this World Cup, for all the teams, I think we're going to see a different, the substitutions are going to be so important. I think you'll see the subs getting made earlier. Whole changes, I think 60 odd minutes, even before that, I think almost the whole benches will be empty. It's extremely humid out there, it's very hot. The ball's going to be very slippery as well, which doesn't really make a difference for the substitutions. But that's where I think this World Cup, more than any, your squad depth is going to be so important, particularly the people that you have on your bench on any game day. You might, in the front row, you might be bringing guys on before 50 minutes because it's that tough out there.
And what sort of, have you kept in touch with a few of the boys? Like, what sort of a pre-season has it been? Has it been tough?
World Cup pre-seasons are brutal, mate. They're always tough. And the one bonus for them, there's not been a lot of straight line running. I've heard similar things about the Irish camp, I'm sure you'll tell me, but most of the fitness they do is game-based. It's with a ball in their hands, which is a nice relief for rugby players. In the past, the World Cup camps that I've done have been absolutely brutal. Straight line running, very monotonous kind of stuff, and it's really tough to get yourself up every day for stuff like that. But when you've got a ball in your hands, it seems easier, but when you look at the meters that you're covering, I think Scotland have a range of 25 touch games that they play, that all the players need to know off by heart, say, so they can interchange between those games, and they're put in high pressure situations under fatigue, and that's, again, like I said, that's the way they're looking to play, so they reinforce that every single day.
And are you buzzing for the World Cup? Are you, like, sometimes when guys finish, I know they, especially if it's not on their terms, they might be thinking, kind of falling out of love with rugby a bit, but are you, like, excited about the buzz and looking forward to seeing Scotland go?
Yeah,
well?
It's been tough. I didn't watch much of the warm-up games, I'll be honest, but the World Cup's different. I think through this injury I found it tough watching, but now that it's the World Cup, there's always a lot of optimism behind all countries going into a World Cup, and as usual, there is a lot of optimism in Scotland. I am excited. I'm definitely going to watch it, and I'm sure we'll do well.
James, what's your first game that you've got to analyse and work on this weekend?
The Japanese against Russia game on Friday. So I'll be working on my Russian and working on my Japanese game.
Yeah, how do you pronounce their names?
Yeah, like in fairness, there's quite a few in the Japanese team that don't have Japanese names, which is actually saving me. But the Russians, I think the majority of them are from Russian descent or from Russia itself, so they're pretty...
Can you pronounce the Japanese names in Irish? Can you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I like to see you tackle that.
Absolutely.
I would tune in to watch that.
Really easy. That's my next challenge. That's next year's challenge. I think I have enough to do.
Yeah. So what's it like analysing a game like that where people don't really know? Is it like, do you get in depth into players, or do you?
I think it's just focusing on those pre-season games that they've had, and as many people will know, Russia haven't been very successful in those games.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a matter of damage limitation for Russia. Like, no one really wants to know about Russia, but it just happens to be on the first day with the opening ceremony. So I think that will probably take precedence, and previewing the games more so than actually analysing the game. I think it's just, and obviously it's Japan's first game in a home World Cup. You know, there'll probably be a huge crowd out there, but it's just about, I think, just what kind of score are Japan going to put up against Russia really is the big question.
And then the Irish game at the weekend. Sorry, all right?
You're going to jump in?
Yours will be better.
The Irish game at the weekend. What are your thoughts on Ireland and the approach they might take?
If we can get clarification on the injuries, at the moment it's kind of like who's going to start in the wing. Will Earls be fit? Will Kearney be fit? Like, I know Henshaw's obviously ruled out now, so that more than likely Ringrose will start in the centre. But again, look, we never know what he's going to do. But the conditions will be a big factor as well in who you play. Like, obviously we've been trying to kick a game, and if Conway's on the wing, like, there's nobody in Ireland that will beat him for, like, Kearney, yes, a high ball, like, he's phenomenal in the air. But then do you really want to kick it down on top of Stuart Hogg as well? You know, it's looking at who you're playing as well, and looking at the conditions, and if it is going to be a slippery ball, well then maybe kicking might be the option, but there won't be much space. Everything will be tighter, will be narrower, there'll be a lot more phases to ball security in that. So it mightn't be as open a game as we actually want it to be if the conditions do plan like they're planning for, if the storm comes like they're chatting about.
Dave, your experience in the World Cup, as you said, you've been there. 2015, you were in that Scottish side that was pretty robbed by Joubert against Australia in that quarter-final. Can you talk us through that, what that experience was like?
Yeah, mate, that was brutal. Obviously, at the time, you kind of everyone gets caught up in their emotions, and kind of you start pointing fingers at the ref and things like that. And World Rugby came out, and they did agree that it was a mistake, but the reality is, the number of mistakes that we made in that game as well. You can't be turning and pointing fingers at him for one mistake that he made. And I think on reflection, it's always easier to look back on these things. There were situations after we scored, I think it was the 78th minute to take the lead. We had multiple opportunities to kill that game, and we could have done better. But look, it was a massive opportunity missed for us, because we would have had Argentina in the semi-final. The last 4 times that we'd played Argentina, we'd beaten them 3 times. So in the last however many years, have Scotland had a better opportunity to get to a World Cup final? Now, against New Zealand in the World Cup final, I don't think we would have been able to win that. But getting there and for the first time, particularly for us, for me personally, it would have been incredible to be playing in a World Cup final.
As we said, we're very supportive of any Irish player that pulls on the jersey, or anyone that has qualified for Ireland. And you coming from a situation from Zimbabwe, but your mum was from Scotland, and then you ended up playing for Scotland. Firstly, how did your mum end up in Zimbabwe? How did that happen?
Man, mental, really. So I don't know why she left Scotland to go live on a farm in Zimbabwe. But so my dad went to agricultural college in Cirencester, and through friends of friends met my mum, and she turned up home one day and told her dad that she was moving to Zimbabwe. And after he did a bit of Google work, he tried to stop her, but she moved out there and she lived on a farm. Her nearest neighbour, she went from living in the middle of Edinburgh to her nearest neighbour being 45 minutes away. So it was a hell of a change for her, but she's really embraced it, and she loves it now. She loves living out there. Obviously the country's been in a better state, but they're not planning on leaving anytime soon.
Wow. So had you always thought of the potential of playing for Scotland? Was that something you thought about growing up throughout school? Or?
Yeah, so probably when I went to senior schools, when I first started considering really being a professional rugby player, and it was then that sort of started coming into my thinking. And as I got into my final year, I just started firing out emails to a bunch of clubs, and I fired one out to the Scottish Rugby Union, and I was just like, listen, I'd love to come over and for you to give me a trial, basically. yeah, they accepted, and I came over to the 3-month trial with them, and they signed me up into their academy, and then the rest is history, as they say.
Man, you assume it's someone's job to source people like you. So I think it is someone's job in the IRFU. But it's strange that it actually just comes down to, actually I'm Scottish, I might give that guy a shout and tell him I'm Scottish. Okay, come over and play for us.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
There's definitely, now I know there's definitely people specifically employed by Scottish Rugby to do that kind of recruitment. Scotland's a small nation and there isn't...
that could be a job for you.
Yeah, maybe it would be.
Now that you've got your haircut.
So I know people are doing that, but I would have been surprised if at the time people were delving into the rural areas of Zimbabwe to find rugby players that could play for Scotland.
Well, what you were saying a while ago about, like, if you actually got every Zimbabwean player that could potentially play for Zimbabwe, you wouldn't have a bad team, like David Pocock, you named a few more.
Zimbabwe's produced some incredible rugby players, like you mentioned, David, at the last World Cup, people like David Pocock, Beeston Tariwa, Brian Mujati we were talking about earlier, who played for the Springboks as well, a couple of American players. It's all kind of around the same positions, but there's a lot of really talented rugby players and cricketers, for that matter, playing for England at the moment that come out of Zimbabwe. But just the state that the country's in at the moment, no one's ever going to stay. For me, it was never even in my thinking. I knew when I finished school, I wanted to go over to Scotland and give it a crack there. And I think that's what it is for a lot of people.
What are your thoughts then? There's 7 Scottish players that weren't born in Scotland in the current squad. There's 3 in the Irish squad. And there's a lot of chat over here about that. Gus Pichot, is that? He came out and gave a little bit of a douchebaggy comment on Twitter last week when the Irish squad was announced. What are your thoughts on that? Obviously, you welcome it, I'm sure, but is there that much hassle over in Scotland over those rules?
I think teams and people are always going to work within the regulations that are set out in front of them. So lengthening the residency to 5 years, I think, is a good idea, because when it was one professional contract for someone to play for their adopted nation, it did become a little bit ridiculous. But I think where it is now, I think it's good, because a lot of people do. They move over as school kids, and they do, whether they adopt that nation or they grew up supporting that nation, they should be allowed to represent them. And you mentioned Gus Pichot. I think at the last World Cup, Argentina were the only nation that was made up of players who were born in that country completely, which it just shows where, not only where rugby is, but where the world is. People don't stay where they're born. The world is a very globalized place at the moment, and to restrict it in professional sports would be ridiculous.
But I think as well, people are happy to have them once they start performing, once they start proving themselves. Like CJ Stander, everyone will welcome him with open arms because of the years he's given to Irish rugby and what he's done and how well he's played. And I think just give Klein time, and I think people are still on the Toner bandwagon, and I think Klein needs to just play well to get people on his side, and I think they might change after that.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Could do it a few Olays, I'd say, could we?
Yeah.
That was your job, man.
Ole, 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 ole. Ole, ole. Right, settle down.
Pat,
That's enough.
Pat,
Behave yourselves.
could we get a pint? Thanks, Pat. Producer Pat, pints. Yeah. Producer Pat, everybody.
Eimear, do you like penguins?
These ones, yes.
Would you like to take one home?
Keep the price
Pick
of
one penguin to go home with. Sorry, not like that. I mean like a baby. I mean like a pet. A pet. Don't answer that. You'll get me in bother.
Okay, we asked Flower earlier on his prediction for World Cup winners. Give us your head and your heart.
I think the winner is going to come out of Pool B, whichever one can get out of it.
Who's in Pool B?
It's not on the cards, man.
It's either going to be New Zealand or South Africa. I think whichever one can come past that quarter-final stage will win. And the team that has to win 7 games in a row, or more than likely 7 games. I think every other winner that has won the World Cup has to win 7 games in a row. And
have they?
yeah.
Is that a fact?
Yeah. Fun fact. Yes. There you go for the next one. Every winner, actually.
Write that down for Monday.
So I think
We'll edit that part out of the show tonight.
I think with Scotland's consistency, they might lack a little bit in it. I think if you maybe like Ireland have to win 7 games in a row, and if the injuries keep going the way they're going, I don't know. I can't be as positive as
Okay,
as
can't see any
everyone else's.
surprises.
No. Well, I just think it's going to be either New Zealand or South Africa coming from Pool B.
Okay, I don't know if you heard what we said.
We're on
earlier.
positivity here.
But we were certain Ireland were going to win the World Cup.
Ireland are going to win the World Cup.
Are we not going to win
Ireland will
anymore?
win.
No, apparently not. Eimear says
They're
we're
not
not
in
going to win.
Pool B.
Believe. Need to believe. Yeah.
Dave, any ideas? Head and heart?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to say Scotland. I think it's going to be hard. I think, like you say, consistency is so key in these tournaments, and squad depth is going to be massively important. Like I say, I don't imagine this is going to be a popular choice, but I think either England or South Africa.
Old Uncle England, huh? He got to you. He got to him.
Because he lives there. He has to go home.
Yeah, that's very true. So, any immediate plans now that you've retired? Is it Ibiza for a while? Is it?
You had a bit of a gap year last year, didn't you? You didn't play much rugby. You kind of.
Mate,
You find yourself.
Yeah, I've had a lot of time to think about things, definitely. So I've played a lot of fantasy football. I've watched a lot of Game of Thrones. I've watched
Love Island.
watched a lot of Love Island as well during the summer. And
Champions.
yeah,
It's our
immediate
first World Cup.
immediate plans I haven't got at the moment. I'm going to take a bit of time off because I've been so busy. Just get healthy first of all, and then we're probably going to move back to Edinburgh. Edinburgh's home for us now. I think we absolutely loved it there, and I guess I got to look for a real job.
We could have had a job for you. We had a weekly Game of Thrones correspondent, and you would have been perfect for that.
Well, are you going to bring it back?
It's over now. Were you happy with the finish?
No, I thought it was dreadful. I think.
That's the spirit.
Yeah. When you've got hour-long episodes for 8 seasons, I think you expect a little bit more at the end. So I was boring. I would have loved Jon Snow on the Iron Throne, but it didn't work out that way. But I thought Bran Stark was a bit of a... Sometimes I think they tried to be controversial for the sake of being controversial. And I think people just wanted the main guy to be the king. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you watch it? Is this
No,
going over your head?
I actually have no clue what's happening
Kind
here.
of 50% of
I
our
don't know when I can
audience.
fit it in here, so...
Yeah.
And with that 50% of the audience, are probably less that haven't watched it ever.
We've
Not one
alienated
episode.
a lot of people, I think, with that. So.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So what's the season looking like for you? Are you getting much training now with all your analysis and work? Or?
Yeah, like we're in the middle of Interpros, so we play Ulster at the weekend. Not where we wanted to be. We lost to Connacht last weekend in the semi-final, so we're in like a B final on Saturday. Against Ulster. I know. We weren't expecting it either. So then once that happens, we've got 3 November international. So we head to Scotland for a weekend, we head to France, and we play Spain as well. And 3 November, and then it's Six Nations, and then World Cup qualifiers because of the last World Cup not going so well, we didn't qualify. So a busy 12 months or so trying to qualify for that World Cup in New Zealand, which will be cool.
Yeah. Well, look, thank you very, very much, both of you, for coming on tonight. Lads, could you put your hands together for our first 2 panel guests, Eimear Considine and Dave Denton. Welcome back, everyone. We hope you're having a great night. Are you having a good night? Yay! Well, we'll move along with our second panel of the night. Jerry Flannery is back on the couch with us. How are we doing, Fla?
Good.
Yeah,
I enjoyed watching you squirm and try and talk about rugby and not dildos and baby
Where
shit for
were
the first
you?
half.
Look, we won't keep you waiting any longer, Fla. We know how excited you are. Will you do the honours?
I'd love to. We've been waiting. A very special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and give a warm, warm welcome for the king of Love Island and the sexiest bastard in the world, Mr. Greg O'Shea.
Hit the music.
Thanks everyone, you're right, have a good night.
What say we sit in silence and stare for 20 minutes?
Let's just enjoy this for a little bit.
Take it in. Just take it in.
Oh, stop.
Look,
You're right.
everyone has a story about like when they knew someone before they were famous, and we all knew you before you were famous. Well, maybe not you.
Well, that's true, you know.
Two of us knew you, obviously.
Throw under the bus there.
My
I knew
missus
him,
did,
though.
My missus did walk in one time when I was watching Love Island and I was licking the TV. And she did wonder what was going on, but then she saw Greg and she understood. So.
You joined her then?
Yeah.
That's, everyone has a story about someone once they get famous, but we knew him. We knew him from way back.
Before he was famous.
I coached Greg, and I may not have been a very good coach, but I knew sexy when I saw it. I was out for dinner with my missus, and I said to her at the end of the meal, I said, I'd just like to get on to Molly's pub to a 21st. And she goes, you're nearly 40. What are you going on to the 21st for? And I said, listen, when you go down to this 21st, you are going to thank me. And she goes, what? So we wandered down, walked into the door of Molly's bar, which is a kind of a disco bar for people around the 21 years of age.
Even
When
younger.
Mrs. came in, there he was in the middle of the dance floor in a collarless leather jacket. I turned around and said, look at that. And my missus goes, oh my God. He is one sexy bastard. I said, you're welcome. I coached this guy. And that was it. So way before he was King of Love Island, I knew this guy was sexy.
I knew him before as well. When I first met Greg, he was getting a guitar lesson off my brother. And I remember walking into the sitting room and I was like, Jesus Christ. Who is that? And I was like, well, man, what's the crack? And I said, lads, I'll leave you to it. And I walked out and I was there. It's like the best looking I've ever seen.
I remember those both stories very well. You came in looking like a fucking Peaky Blinder with the big long coat. Like, he was
Don't
the best.
slag me off, man. I'm in love with you.
Unreal. Your missus is lovely, anyway.
This will ruin your nice guy image, man, if you start messing around with my missus.
I'm joking. And that, I remember you were playing with Munster at the time, and you walked in the door. I was in his family house.
You were 7 at the time.
I was very young. I remember, and I was like,
He was 7.
and you walk in the door, and I was like, oh my God, that's Barry Murphy. And I tried to play it so cool. He went over, did something on the computer, and left. I couldn't focus for the rest of the
The guitar
session.
was
Yeah.
bigger than him. Like, they literally... Have you ever seen anything more adorable? Get that man a guitar, lads. You know.
Stop. The place
think
will
he's
go on
sexy
fire.
now?
The place will go on fire if we give him a guitar. Too sexy.
So Trimble was one of my idols the whole way growing up, being a rugby player.
Stop,
watching
it was not.
Honestly, yeah. Seriously, I used to watch you try and replicate the stuff you were doing. So this is an honor for me to be on the couches with you guys.
Oh, God. He's so flattered.
That's why he's the king. That's why he's the king. The way he makes you feel.
So, as he said to me upstairs, I just went on a 2-week holiday and then this is it. This is what my life is now. So,
man.
what's it been like?
It's crazy. Like, it's just what I feel like I haven't earned any of this fame or any of this stuff.
You've earned it, you sexy bastard. Don't let anyone take that away from you.
All I did was go on a 2-week holiday. It happened to be filmed like this with a load of random English people that are my great mates now. But it's just, I didn't know anything was going on in the outside world. I didn't know if it was going well. I didn't know if people hated me the whole lot. And
You're
I get
great
out.
mates with all the people from Love Island.
Most of them.
Sounds like spoof to me. But go on. Yeah, we're all great mates. You seemed like great mates on the show.
And then just came out and it all blew up. But it's great to be back home now. I was away for nearly 6 weeks, including Mallorca and London, so I couldn't wait to get back to Ireland. Yeah.
And what's it like now? You're back training. You've gotten a job at 2FM? Is that correct?
Yeah. So I could have easily done the whole thing where moved to London and done like the other shows and nightclubs and the whole lot, like most Islanders do. But that's just not me. I wanted to get home and play with the sevens lads because we're trying to get to the Olympics this year.
Idiots!
Yeah.
You need some career advice, Greg.
I know.
Someone needs to sit you down. Get to London.
Get out. Yeah. So that's a big goal for me to try and get to Tokyo 2020. So I had to get home, and 3 weeks into pre-season now, so the body's in bits. You all remember that. But it's great, I'm loving it. And I'm starting in RTE on Monday morning, 6 a.m. I have to be there for 5:30, but starting on the show for 6 o'clock. So
that's the breakfast show with Darren.
With Darren, yeah. So it's instead of Darren and Owen McDermott, it's Darren and Greg O'Shea.
Owen got the chop for you.
So it's like, ooh, don't be starting crap now. Owen's doing the Australian Love Island voiceovers. You know Ian Sterling, who does the UK one.
Okay.
Owen McDermott's one for Australia, so it's a great gig for him. They need a replacement, so I'm going in for 9 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
God, we can't wait to hear you. I suppose we can't see you.
So you'll be up with the new twins at that time, will you?
Yeah. So we grew up around the corner from each other. Our mothers played golf together. Our fathers played rugby together against each other, really.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you are as kind of Limerick and as wholesome as you come across. I think that's why people have grown to you so much, or kind of supported you so much. Are you feeling that vibe the whole over Ireland? Is there anyone that's kind of, you feel any haters or anything like that?
No, so I'm definitely, since I got home, it's been all positive. I haven't got one piece of crap off any Irish person. I'll be walking down the street and a little girl will come up to me and be like, oh, I love you. And then an old man across the road will be like, oh, I'm the kid for a blade show. Do you know what I mean? It's all great. I'm getting a bit of a hate now after the last couple of weeks off people over the water, but being at home is great.
Okay,
Uncle England.
He's at it again. He's pissed.
I don't know which way over the water you're going, but that's all I'm saying.
So they're giving you a bit of hassle over there?
A little bit, but like, maybe would you say I'm just an Irishman through and through, and I couldn't wait to get home.
Yeah. So what's the lowdown on the love life? Is it?
So at the moment, I'm single.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Thank you, pal. Oh, brilliant, thank you. I'm keeping the head down, I'm supposed to do the FE1s next month, and I have the pre-season, so my schedule's really packed out. With RT coming up, don't really have much time for the old love life at the moment.
Okay.
But we'll get back there eventually. I'm only young.
Sure you are, Jesus. So you've got your law exams in a month?
Next month I'm supposed to do the FE1s, but with everything that's happened the last couple of weeks, I've kind of been not really putting much time into the study, so I might have to be more realistic and push them out. If anyone's ever done the FE1s, you know it's not just a willy-nilly thing you do.
I thought you were looking for some like cheat notes there or something like that.
I don't throw this up. So there's a lot on my plate at the moment, but man, it's great. I feel like one of the luckiest men in the world. Like it's 2-week holiday, and look what happened. Like so, it's great.
Yeah, Jesus. No
Greg, you'll never do those law exams.
No,
it's not gonna happen.
Maybe not. Hopefully not.
Yeah. So
you really, I get a job in Joe.ie, maybe.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Go.
Full timer. Don't replace me. Replace one of these two.
It's actually phenomenal that you could be, in 2 years' time, you could have a gold medal from the Olympics, you could be the King of Love Island and a qualified solicitor.
Yeah, could easily be, man, yeah.
The world is your oyster. Well, it wouldn't do to be you.
I'd have to have a work rate like you, Flad, to get that, but we'll see.
Nah, you're too sexy, man. You. It just comes easy to sexy bastards like you. I have to struggle for it. Yeah.
So what's your working week like at the moment? You're up at 5:30. Into the breakfast show.
Yeah.
What's training like for the Irish Sevens?
So as a Monday, I'll be in RTE studios for 5:30, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. After I finish at 9 o'clock, I go out to Blanchardstown where there's a new institute, indoor pitch, everything. Train with the boys for the afternoon. Harry's one of the lads with the Sevens team.
Go on, Harry.
Harry McNulty, ladies and gentlemen.
So that's it, and then trying to fit in stuff around that. Like, so I'd Bank of Ireland gig before this. Delighted I could get over here and work with you boys for tonight, and it's just great, man. Trying to fit it in.
Cool.
Yeah. It's madness, but it's good.
Yeah. So, World Cup coming up this weekend. Are you glued to that as well?
Can't wait for it.
You getting any nice little nixers out of it?
I have a couple of gigs. I'm doing some stuff at RT, building up into it now.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
I'm doing some 60-second analysis of Scotland and Japan. So after this, I'm going to have to get some tips off you lads. I don't know what I'm talking about.
You don't have to do anything, man. You just show up and just be you.
Just talk, yeah. So, but I can't wait for see the boys get at it.
Yeah. No, it's exciting times. I think we'll all agree with that. So when you were over there, let's get back to the island.
Yes. That's what everyone wants to know about, yeah. No one's here for rugby, it's just Love Island.
What the fuck was that like?
Crazy.
How mental? How did it come about? I remember meeting you on Christmas Eve in our local pub last year, and we sat down with a pint, and I was chatting away, and you had this twinkle in your eye. Did you know then?
I didn't know back then. No,
bullshit,
I knew
sorry.
the time I met you in the Craic hour though, a couple months later. I knew then.
You knew then.
They got on to me on Instagram in February, asking would I do the interviews. So I was like, yeah, why not? Like, you know, be a bit of fun, be a bit of crack. I never thought I'd get through the stages. Kept going, bring me to London, meet the executives, all this stuff, and they offered me to start in lineup, which is the start of June. And I went to the director of rugby with Sevens, and he was like, well, obviously not. Like, so I was going to cut dead in the water.
How do you even broach that conversation? Can I have a word with you about what? Just this Love Island thing. Come on, people. What?
Man, the conversation was less than 30 seconds. Like, it's so funny. But then I made my peace with it. I wasn't going on, and it was grand. I had my Sevens and the law, the whole lot. I was fine with it. I watched the show for 6 weeks as a fan, like everyone else does. And they rang me then 2 days before we had the Olympic qualifier in Toulouse, going, look, Greg, we really want you on the show. If we push the deadline to the 15th of July, will you come in? I was like, yeah, but you're going to have to fly me from Toulouse. I'm with the lads, the team, and the whole lot. Like, grand, we're 5 from there. So it was all very last minute. Only person that knew was my best mate that I lived with, because he had to do my Instagram, social media. And then I told my parents literally the Sunday morning before I flew the Sunday evening, and just went in. Gone. So it was all very last minute stuff.
And were they like totally supportive?
Not at all. They didn't want me doing it at all. Yeah. My parents and my sisters were like, not a chance, man, are you doing that? Like, you'd make a fool of yourself. Like a couple of lads happened to do on the island. Like the guy that said that bad, vulgar thing towards Maura. Remember him? Like, sick. Tom, so that was my parents and my sister were worried I would slip up like that, but thankfully I didn't, and I ended up winning the thing.
Can you ever imagine going on off the ball?
Off the ball, never. It's all Joe.ie.
You won't get there.
So, whoa. Go back there now a second. So,
yeah, all right. Let's get down to it.
So, do you not get any tips going into the island? Like, I would have thought you'd be prepped for that for ages.
So did I, man, right? Yeah. Going over. And honestly, this is the biggest...
Tie your shoelace.
I know, this is the biggest thing that caught me about going in. I was like, oh, ITV, biggest show in the British Isles. Obviously, they'll make me look amazing going on, clothes, the whole lot. They were like, oh yeah, bring your own suitcase of clothes and you're going straight in when you get there. I had the beater tan. Did you ever see that? Like, oh, it was like, I beater tan. I had a heat rash. I was all scraped from playing the tournament. And they were like, yeah, you're going straight in. I was like, all right, grand. And
you're just fishing for compliments now.
I was good, yeah.
Oh, I look terrible. I look terrible.
I just noticed you whitened your teeth. They're gorgeous, by the way.
Yeah. Beautiful. It worked. You were right, Trimble.
So, but then every Wednesday in the villa, they do what's called a drop. And they bring in clothes. So you should have Greg's box full of clothes and the whole lot. And then you start gathering stuff the whole way through. So the lads that had been there from the start had loads of clothes. Okay. But it was grand, man. I just went with the flow. Like, you're just wearing shorts every day anyway. Like, so it's grand. You'd love that.
Yeah, I would.
So what's the crack like when you're like on camera all the time? Is it you feel like fuck, everyone's watching me?
It's 24 hours, man. Like literally, when you're sitting on the bog, there's a camera in your face, like that close to you. You're sitting out going to the toilet and you're looking at it. Honest to God, it's crazy. But they kind of have to do that for security reasons and make sure they don't miss anything. But the maddest thing that a couple of lads got caught doing a bit of stuff in the bathroom. I'm not elaborating on that now.
Get into that.
The thing with the villa, I don't know if you know, time doesn't exist in Love Island. You don't have any clocks. You never know what time it is, which is a bit weird at the start, I thought. But then it makes sense because if I was like, oh, it's 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm wrecked, I'd just be sitting there giving nothing to the show. But if I don't know what time it is, you don't really know what's going on. You're kind of still chatting away the whole lot. And you go to bed when you're told to go to bed. You get up when you're told to get up. And so there was one stage when we got woken up, it's as bright as this, and I was like, there's no way we got more than 2 hours sleep. I was like, there's not a chance. Like, you know, I'd be used to tracking your sleep and stuff. And I asked one of the producers at lunchtime, I was like, go on, how much sleep did you give us? And they were like, yeah, 2 hours last night. And like, it's crazy, man.
To make you cranky.
I don't know, the reason maybe just to make us grumpy, to get more filming in, stuff like that. But then another stage, they give us 12 hours sleep. So it balances out throughout the week, but they're trying to make a show, like, so.
So can you not get out of bed when you want?
No, you go to bed when you're told to go to bed, you get up when you're told to get up.
Do they have a gym there? Did somebody exercise?
There's a little gym in the corner, goes up to 30 kg dumbbells. You have to be creative. And I used to run across the garden to get some conditioning in. So it's 25 meters across, and I just do shuttles to try and get it done. So Ovi used to join me, and Anton used to join me.
Very good.
So yeah, I got the training in as well. Yeah.
Wow. And so they don't give you any... Sorry.
Cooking-wise, I never saw you cooking.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I saw you making
right?
tea and winning everyone over. But
Yeah, easy one. In the morning, they're basically like, look, you can make breakfast if you want. So you always saw Ovi making eggs in the morning, doing his thing. And then at lunchtime, there's an hour where they bring in catering, and you get your meal. And the same with dinner time, you get your meal. But they separate the boys and the girls. You're not allowed to speak to each other or talk anything about what's called the process. And you just talk crap for an hour for lunch and dinner, and then you go back into it again. But you always have your mics on. So there'd be times when the lads would be like, so go on, how many followers do I have, kind of thing. So I knew everything coming in from the outside world.
Yeah, right.
Outside world.
And I'd be like, I know, isn't that crazy?
Like
That's
another
the thing.
planet, like, yeah.
And another thing was, Tommy asked me, did my brother win his fight? Like, Tyson Fury. And I was like, yeah. And I got killed for it.
Did you?
They were like, what? You can't be telling them stuff from the outside world, like, yeah.
So you could have gone in and fucked with their heads, like.
I could have messed it up.
Yeah.
I could have made up completely.
Yeah.
Boris Johnson's Prime Minister.
fuck's sake.
That was gas.
Yeah.
So they don't tell you going in there like, we want you to hook up with this girl. We want you to be. They don't give you tactics how to win it. They didn't want you and Amber to be the ones.
No, so usually what happens is you fly over and you do what's called lockdown. You've probably heard about that, where you do a certain amount of time secluded from society. So you've no phone and you're away in a hotel with one person that chaperones you. So Danny, if you remember Danny, he did 3 weeks of that because he forgot his passport, so he had to go get his passport and all that.
He did 3 weeks?
He did 3 weeks of secluded away from society in a hotel, yeah. That would wreck
Make you
anyone's head.
insane.
Yeah, crazy. Maura did 2 weeks of it. I only had to do one night because I was so late coming into it. So I literally just stayed in a hotel for a night without my phone and then went in the next day. Wow. But they asked me that night, going, so who do you want to go on a date with? And I was like, well, obviously Amber, but they were like 2 dates. So I was like, all right, who else is left? And they were like, well, Joanna's been kicked out. So you have Maura, whoever. And I was like, oh, Maura would be good crack. She's Irish. So then I had the 2 dates then. Yeah, so it's all, you have your own autonomy to do what you want, but it's just, they kind of push you towards stuff to make stuff happen, like, but it's all your own words and your own actions. Like Jordan, when he did that thing to Anna, was completely his own actions.
Yeah.
He lost his head completely.
That's it. Well, I'd say it happens, like, people, you'd go a bit crazy in there, right? If you're in there for longer than...
It is,
than the guys, he was in there from the start, right?
He's a good mate of mine now, and we just kind of laugh about it. Like, he'd been in there for 6 weeks, and he was just like, man, I was just starting to lose my head. Like, I don't know what I was doing. Like, he's actually a gentleman. He just was all getting at him a bit. And then, but I was only in there for 13 days, so sure, you can't really be complaining about that. Like, it's just in the door. Yeah.
And you should write the book on how to win Love Island. Literally.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. Like, I watched it the year before, like, intently, because I was on holidays and there was just the World Cup and then there was Love Island, so I was just watching it all the time. And then I was just... my missus just goes to me, she goes, did you see on Twitter that Greg Island, that's gone into O'Shea Island. Greg O'Shea has just gone into Love Island. I said, what? Because, like, I knew you, so, like, I keep dropping that into everyone. I know him. But it was just, like, to know you, and for what I thought was a stereotypical Love Island contestant, to you, like, a dude who's, like, really, really professional, a fantastic rugby player, a really good guy, cuddling up.
No, keep going.
And studying, very intelligent as well.
I appreciate that.
It's just, it was surreal. And then for you to win it, like, it made me feel like, because normally I kind of go, people that win this are generally dicks. But I went, no, Greg is actually the best guy you could ever come across.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Flat. Thanks. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Sorry. I haven't seen him in so long.
You're literally the first person that's melted Fla's heart. Like, what? His children don't get that compliment.
Me and Fla go back years, to be fair. But a lot of people said it to me, like, I would have never watched Love Island until I heard an Irish lad was on it. And they tuned in and they loved it. But I think what really worked for me was that I was so different to the English lads, and I just stood out like a sore thumb. That was kind of more interesting for people, maybe. But like, would have been like anyone going in. I think any Irish lad, when he going in, it's just the kind of, we take everything in our stride, a bit of banter, and it worked. Yeah. So it just worked out great, man. I'm very lucky.
Okay. And there's been talks of people suffering psychological problems from going into that island from what you face when you come on get on the outside and the attention you get, and is there anyone weirding you out at the moment, first of all, and then do you worry about
apart from Fla?
A weird one the other day, actually. I was over in Dundrum. I live just beside Dundrum, buying something, and
don't tell people that.
Just a load of penguins outside your apartment. And flapping around.
She works for the store. I was walking home then, just around the corner, and a girl followed me home, which was a bit creepy. That's kind of the creepiest thing that's happened so far. Followed me literally to my front door.
Nice.
But she ended up, she ended up being like perking up then towards the end, and we had a conversation. She was fine. She wasn't crazy, like, but it was weird. Yeah.
She perked up towards the end. Was she quite dour at the beginning when she was following you?
Weird. 20 meters
crack out of her. Like, come on, will you? Give me something.
It was so weird. She didn't say anything until I got to the door, and then she was like, Greg. As if it wasn't Greg the last 10 minutes, like, you know. So that was.
Wanted to know where you lived, obviously.
Yeah. So perfect. She knows where I live now. Yeah.
Okay.
But no, everything's been so great since I've been home.
Okay. You don't worry about long term, like getting this attention, how it's gonna affect you, or how does it affect your day-to-day living? Is it starting to grind your gears at all, or?
It is. Like, I'm not gonna complain about it. Like, people would take a limb off for the opportunities that I have now. Like, so I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh no, I don't want to be all these opportunities and followers. It's great. It's amazing. But it's just a bit weird for me now, because I'm walking down the street or people are recognizing me and stuff. So I just kind of have to be like ready for that and not be ignorant, do you know what I mean? Because everyone's so nice, and take the moment to take the photo, because it's all going to end eventually, do you know what I mean? There's going to be new Islanders in January with the Winter Love Island, new Islanders in July again, so it's a process, and I'm just in it at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's about to get weirder, because Fla has a quiz that he wants to do with you. Actually, first of all, someone told us today that you might be doing a calendar, a 2020 calendar.
First I heard of it. We're having a Joe.ie calendar. That's an idea.
You should do a calendar. Someone told you to do
4
a
months
calendar.
here.
Are you not doing a calendar?
No, I'm not doing it.
That is such spoof.
Yeah,
that is such spoof.
I'm not. When did you hear this?
100% you're going
Christmas
to do a calendar.
Greg. Christmas Greg just wearing a stocking.
I wouldn't be
Bunny
against it, Greg. Not first I've heard of it. I'll do it.
What's your best month?
I don't know. July probably.
Give us July. Just give us a little bit of July. Just the pose.
Man,
give us a little bit of July. Give us a little bit. A little bit.
Take it off. Take it off.
Take it off.
Take it off. Take it off. Take it off.
Come on. He's not like that. He's not like the rest of them. He's different.
I had my top off for long enough.
Okay. Look, I was genuinely interested to see how you're balancing full-time pro rugby, obviously getting this new gig as an RTE 2FM DJ in the breakfast show, and then having your FE1s,
yeah.
You know, how you're balancing it all. And to get all that layered, don't start laughing at me over here. It's a hard enough job. And to see how you balance it all, and then, you know, Baz has teased it out of you, but there's so much of it that I just put a little quiz together. Just a few little questions to see if maybe you were spoofing us.
Did you come up with this yourself?
I came up with it myself.
You wrote it yourself?
I wrote all this material myself.
Good.
Because I know you, man. I know what you're
man.
like.
Let's
Okay,
go.
shh. Okay,
I hope you catch me out.
a day in the life of Greg O'Shea. It's 7 a.m. and the alarm is going off. What does Greg do next? A. I want you to answer which one is most likely for you.
Okay.
A. I get up, I have a pee, and I brush my teeth. B. I bang out 100 push-ups and I down a protein shake. C. I throw the alarm clock across the room and go back to sleep because I'm Greg O'Shea and I don't get out of bed for less than 10 grand.
That second answer is what you actually do every morning.
A, B, or C, Greg?
Honest to
A,
God.
B, or C?
Last year when Flower was with Munster and I was in Munster, there's story.
It's not C because we paid his agent and
story
he's way
came out.
more than 10 grand.
The story
Let the
came out
man
that-
talk.
And then he gets up every morning and does 4 sets of 50 push-ups, you big weirdo. That's true.
What's weird about that?
That's so weird, man. But it's class. Fair play to you. The first
He's
one, man.
patronising me now on stage. I can't even get angry at him. Next up.
He didn't answer the
It's
question.
the first one. I'm boring. Get up and get into the shower and get to training.
It's bullshit, man. It's C. Okay, question number 2. Next up, it's breakfast time. What's a typical Greg O'Shea breakfast? A. I pop on Lyric FM, have a nice cup of tea and a slice of toast.
RT2FM.
B. I head down to the training centre and join my teammates for an egg white omelette and some pre-workout supplements. C. My PA brings me a double espresso, which I down on my way into RTE studios, where I get Ryan Tuberty in a headlock and start my big, fat, juicy contract on the breakfast show. Oh, because I'm Greg O'Shea and I don't give a shit about RTE's financial difficulties.
That's excellent. As a Monday, it's going to be C.
Okay, we're nearly at the end.
That's funny.
Work is done for the day. It's time for dinner. What's Greg up to now? That's not Greg's voice, that's my voice. Okay, A. I head home with a nice stew prepared by celebrity chef Kevin Dundon that Dahi O'Shea held on to me from the one show earlier that day. B. A few of the lads call over and we all help out with dinner before we get down to some goal setting for the Sevens team across our calendar year.
That's cute.
And C. I head into town for a dinner arranged by my agent with Madonna and Bono. During the meal, the paparazzi show up, so I start shifting them both because that guarantees me massive media coverage, and I'm Greg O'Shea, and I'm better than all of you plebs.
I wish it was the last one, but it's probably...
You want to shift Bono?
Who wouldn't want to shit Bono?
True, yeah.
That's so... That's the possibility, like.
Yeah.
That's the reality, like.
Bono,
That could be your life now.
he was at Electric Picnic and I wanted to meet him so badly. I couldn't find him, no. Couldn't find him. I thought I'd
You were at Electric Picnic, were you?
Were you there?
No, were you the guy that attacked O'Connell?
That wasn't him. Yeah, I'd love to meet him, but he's next level. Bono is just like treasure of Ireland, like, isn't he?
Yeah.
Incredible.
You'll get there, man. You'll get there. Just go on holidays next year. God knows what'll happen.
That's it, yeah. I
Jesus.
join Hermitage Green and start singing. That'd be grand.
Anytime,
Get me
man.
in.
Trimby's going to come on our next tour and be our drummer.
What? Why you look so concerned?
You drum?
I dabble.
Did you keep up the guitar when you got those lessons off my brother?
I do play
You
a little
got
bit
creeped
myself.
out and binned it.
So I was just staring at him.
I do a little bit myself, yeah, just in just like playing away, but I'm definitely not good. Like, you know, I
Would
just
you like to
enjoy
start a band, you and me?
We take on them. Hermitage Blue. Yeah, no.
Very good. Well, look,
Great.
is that a good enough surprise guest for you, ladies and gentlemen? I think so. Greg, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been a blast
Thanks
seeing
for
you
having me, lads.
after what an unbelievable summer you've had. And
Crazy.
you're still a true gent. So massive round of applause for Greg O'Shea.
Thank you. Cheers.
All right. That's kind of it, Penguins. You had a good night? Yeah. We still think Ireland are going to win the World Cup? Yeah. Hey. We do. That's the belief we want. Thank you to everyone that was involved in organising tonight. Thanks to Pat. Thanks to all the Open Gate Brewery staff. Thanks for pulling delicious pints. We've had a great time. All our friends at Guinness, of course, official sponsors of Belief for the Ireland team, as the only way we're going to win in Japan is if we believe. It's possible. That's an empty pint. So, which way is east? Due east, point. Anyone nerdy enough to know that way? They're over there.
Surely you didn't.
Will we raise a glass to the Irish team, lads? Come on, Ireland!
Yes.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
This has been Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby. Here on Joe, together with Guinness. Bye!